All right, so you have to realize there's a push all over the world to get rid of the freedom of speech. It's not just, we're not just here fear mongering. We're here to, I'm here to tell you that this is really happening. All right, well, I'm back finally. I've been sick for about 5 days now. This is awful. Let me adjust my lighting here a little bit. Is any better? I don't know what's going around, but it started with like the wife was sick first, and then kids, and now me. And I thought I wasn't gonna get it. I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be the guy that I'm just gonna be fine. I'm not gonna get it this time. And then it hit me really bad. You probably hear me. I'm congested, so I'm trying to power through. And this thing, whatever it is awful. I have no energy at all. I'm not like a hypochondriac or anything, to the point where I'm like, oh, I should be scared about what I have. I'm moving on with life, but it's been pretty rough. Like I'm pretty exhausted, and hopefully my super steaming coffee there doesn't distract you. I kind of ran out of desk space here, so lots of things have happened since the last time I recorded. Today, I don't know how long I'll be able to hang. I might do shorter today, like half an hour. I'm sorry about the lighting in here; it's awful. It's shadowing. Here, let me see if I can fix something here. 1 sec. I don't know. That kind of helped, I guess. It's just weird. The lighting in this office isn't very good. Working on that. I actually am trying to adjust this light here, so it's more like shining on me. But whatever. Y'all can hear me. That's all that really matters, anyways. You don't need to look at my face so much. So lots of things happened over the course of a week. You have a situation going on with Israel invading Lebanon. You have the vice presidential debates, and you have just the continuation of more of our propaganda. So I wanted to first off, so I'm sure, I don't know if you're like me, and like my liberty is the most important thing on earth to me. So, well, one of the most important things, it's critical for me to be able to live the life that I want, to always retain my rights as an American, my constitutional rights, my rights to liberty, the ability to say what I would like, freedom to protect myself, etc. That's where I stand. That's like my basis for everything. And I'm a libertarian, that I'm very much averse to government telling me what I can and cannot do. Like literally, you can go F yourself if you think that you have the right to tell me what I can and cannot do, whether you're government or not. And so this actually was brought up at the debates, because I don't know, a while back I had shared this, that Tim Walz, who is Kamala Harris's running mate, like unless you're living under a rock, you know that, but he had previously said before that there are no protections for hate speech or misinformation under the First Amendment, which is just flat out not true. There's no stipulations on what is considered free speech. So hate speech, yes, that is free speech as well. If there's consequences for your actions, then you will pay for those consequences. If there's consequences for the things you say, you pay for them. But you don't have the right to police speech. So what happened? Sorry. So you are talking about, we live in this time now where basically every major country is trying to come crushing down on our right to speech. You saw that several weeks ago with somebody in the UN talking about how the United States is the biggest threat to free speech because of our, we are the biggest threat to national, or to globalism. Sorry, my brain is not working. So the biggest threat to globalism is the United States, because of our ability to speak freely. Really, that comes down to it, and that, like, the rest of the world wants to globalize. The United States of America is in the way, and a lot of the people that you maybe willing to elect into office, they're on board with the anti-America stuff. They want to push back against the United States of America. They would like to have a more globalist type ordeal, and that's not a joke. I mean, it's happening all over the world, which is why you're seeing this pushback in other countries. That's why places like you saw like Malay, you know, and you know, things are changing in Europe too. There's been some more conservative governments being elected. You know, Argentina has completely flipped the script there, and that's because the whole thing with globalism and the whole thing with socialism and etc. is not working, and people don't want to live under those type of regimes, and that's a problem for the people that want those types of things. So there's going to be major pushback, and I wanted to share this. This is something I had on my mind for a while now. You know, being sick, I've been completely out of it. But let me pull this up here for you. This is something that's just been it's so out loud and so just honest, I guess. But this is what you need to realize, and I'm sure, you know, I don't know how old you are, but I'm sure you're familiar with who John Kerry is. Now, John Kerry is another swamp monster, a guy who's lived, you know, his whole life in politics, essentially, for much of his life at least. He's a veteran, Navy, U.S. Navy veteran. He was a decorated combat veteran during the Vietnam War, and he was eventually lieutenant governor of Massachusetts, then a senator from Massachusetts for many years, from 1985 to 2013. And he had actually been the Democratic nominee for president, going up against George W. Bush in the second, in George W. Bush's second term, basically, so that election, and the 2004 election. And you know, he was Obama's Secretary of State from 2013 to 2017. And then he's basically taken on this, I don't know, he's like a Democrat propaganda minister or something. He just flies around and talks about, he's the presidential envoy for climate. And he's a guy he's of a very connected and wealthy family. He's part of the Forbes family, and he is also married to, I believe he's married to one of the Heinz, Teresa Heinz of Heinz ketchup fame. So very wealthy, very connected. He's also one of the biggest, he has one of the biggest carbon footprints you can imagine, and he flies around crying about the climate. But so this was something that John Kerry had said last week. I'm assuming this is last week. I don't know when the actual video came out, but I saw the clip going around. It says impact meetings 2024 for, you guessed it, the World Economic Forum, which is what, like ground zero for globalism, destroying, you know, the world type thing, right? You will have nothing and you will be happy. That type of ordeal. So you need to listen to what this creep has to say, because it's this is what they want. And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today. It's hard to govern, especially in democracies. You can't build a consensus. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact, that kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. What are the referees he's talking about? What referees is he talking about? Oh, he's talking about, he's talking about back when we had only a few venues for getting information, and that was from the media, which has always been in bed with the government. You know, you had your newspapers and your TV news shows, and then you had the government, and that's all you needed. Those referees are gone. Okay, now people can say what they want, and that's a problem. That's a problem for people like John Kerry.
And people go, and then people self-select where they go for their news or for their information.
Self-select.
And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And you know, there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, you know, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, you know, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, you know, hammer it out of existence. So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, you know, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change. Now, obviously, there are some people in our country who are prepared to implement change in other ways, and so that's really dangerous.
You're questioning really if democracy can survive unregulated social media.
I think democracies are very challenged right now, and have not proven they can move fast enough or big enough to deal with the challenges that we are facing.
Democracies.
To me, that is part of what this race, this election is all about.
So there you go. You heard him say it.
Will we break the fever in the United States?
Break what fever? Like, this is so unbelievably open to you. And you're going to have plenty of people in your life that are going to say, oh, democracy. We need to protect democracy. Democracy is the most precious thing in the world. We are a democracy. You're going to have that. And you're going to have these people that are going to say Trump's a threat to democracy. We need to let the people in charge that know what they're doing do what they do best, which is tell us what to do and be our big governmental father figure, you know, that we can all look up to and we can lay all of our worries on. It's a religion. This is just as much a religion as anything else. These are people that have replaced the idea of God with government. And so there's so much here. It's like, this is a 2-minute clip, and there's so much here you can unpack. And this is something that's been weighing heavily on me since I've been sick. I haven't been able to put anything up. And it's something that's like, oh man, I wish I felt better. Cause this to me is like, this to me is more important than anything else going on right now. More important than the government, the vice presidential debate. I don't really care about the wars going on as much as I want them to end. Like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh my God, like we need to be, no, we need to just end this crap. We need to stop giving money to these stupid wars. But it's like everything hinges on this concept. Everything hinges on the idea that there is a push within the country and around the country to take away your fundamental rights to free speech and to express yourself freely, and for you to be able to make decisions for yourself. That's what he says here. Like, it just pisses me off so bad because he's saying you okay, let's just take a step back and think about this for a minute. Let's go back and say what he says to start this crack show.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus.
So social media is the biggest problem we have in democracies. We're building consensus. Now, what social media is he talking about? Do you think he's talking about Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Threads? No. He doesn't care about those because they already are pretty heavy-handed when it comes to moderation and censorship. Is he talking about YouTube? No. Is he talking about one major social media platform, perhaps the biggest in the world, that lets people speak freely? You bet your ass he is. There's been nothing more threatening to their push for power than Elon Musk buying X. I know so many people have such a problem with the guy and that he did that, and it's like, it's, you guys are, he ruined it. He ruined X. It's not what it used to be. It's just shallow, app for everything. And it's like, you don't, it's so far beyond the point. Sorry if I'm clipping my audio here. I'm trying to fix it. It's not supposed to go beyond that point. For some reason it is. So, you're not supposed to be able, it's very hard to govern these days. What does govern mean to these people? What is government to you? Like, government to me is that these people are not here to be my parent. I'm an adult. I can make my own decisions, thank you. They're not there to make the decisions for me. They are not there to hold my hand. They're not there to protect me and give me safety and make sure that I have money in my bank account and food on the table. That's not why government exists. Okay? The government exists because we let it exist. They are there to work for you. That's not what this guy's saying. He's saying the very people that we work for are the problem. They won't let us just do it our way. Excuse me with a cough drop. If you hear it, I know it's annoying. I'm trying to like clack it around my mouth because otherwise I can't speak. So that's the first part of this. It makes it very hard to govern today. Well, we don't need to be governed. Thank you. And if you think you need to be governed, then God help you. Because what on earth tells you these people are capable of governing you? Like, for real. Tell me. I want to know. Because they've failed at everything they've tried to do. They tried to implement a post-World War II liberal economic order that has failed. They have fought countless wars they've lost. They've tried to curb, they've tried to implement restrictions on all of us. Basically, you saw what happened during the pandemic. The way they treated people, they did a real bang up job of handling that situation. They've completely divided this country. They've completely destroyed our economy. They've completely spent us into oblivion. Why in the hell should I trust this guy or anybody in government to govern me when they can't do their damn job? But his take is that, well, that's because they don't let us, they make it hard for us to do our job properly. No, that's bullshit. Because they still do whatever they want anyways. What he's talking about here is he wants to cut back. He wants to get rid of the dissenting opinions in the room. Because what makes it really hard to come to a consensus is that there are people that are averse to what we're doing. But we still do what we want anyways. They still locked us down. They still spend all the money they want. They still start all the wars they want. What difference does it make whether there are people that disagree with you or not? It doesn't matter because you think that's the reason why you guys fuck everything up. Excuse my language. This just boils my blood. You're the reason why. Not us. So that's part one of this, because you need to be governed.
Any issue. It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact, are kind of, been eviscerated.
What referees are you talking about? Please, can somebody enlighten me? To determine what's a fact and that there are facts and there are things that are not facts. There's truth and there's not truth. And he's telling you that you're not capable of deciding what that is for yourself. You are not capable of determining what's truth and what's not. You need a referee there to make the decision for you. You need that. Otherwise, otherwise you may be able to make decisions for yourself. That's dangerous.
A certain degree. And people go and that people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and
okay, so this whole thing just, oh man, it hurts me. It makes me so tired of these people. They're so self-righteous, and they are so self-important, and they think so highly of themselves, and they think that they are so arrogant, and they think that they are capable of determining what's fact simply because they work in government, and in government they know how to do everything that needs to be done. You don't. And this guy, he's saying, what if everybody goes to one site or one source and the source is sick? Well, why would everybody go to one source, John Kerry? Why would that happen? Would they go there because they decided to go there themselves, or because they were pushed there? If everybody goes to one source for information, then they are an idiot, for one. But for two, that is completely their right to do so. They have every right in the world to go to whatever source they want. We live in a free market system where you can determine what source, where you want to get your information from, just like you can decide where you want to buy your food from, what type of brand of products you want to buy. You have as much of a choice in that as you do in where you get your information from. And he's saying here that the reason why people don't choose us as the source of information is because they're getting misinformation and disinformation elsewhere. Not, hey, look at how much we've failed everybody for generations. Look how much we screwed everything up. We failed everything, and everything is in the crap, and you have more debt than you will ever know what to do with. And more people are dead than you can count from countless wars. And everybody hates each other. And we destroyed our economy by locking everybody down. But why don't people want to come to us anymore? Why don't people look at us as the arbiters of truth? Because you're the same people that told everybody that the president of the United States worked for Russia. You're the same people that told us that we need to cancel holidays and that, we need to inject ourselves with an experimental medical treatment 1,000,000 times just to and it's going to make everything go back to normal, and you'll be safe to be around. And it's like, why don't we trust you? Oh, because there's bad guys out there that are telling you the wrong thing. Of course he's talking to the World Economic Forum. I'm assuming that's what this is. It's at the World Economic Forum. And this freaking Sasquatch is here telling you that you need Big Daddy over there to make sure you don't mess up and make the wrong decisions. It's so demeaning.
They're putting out disinformation. Our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So
our First Amendment stands as a major block. This is a recurrent theme. The First Amendment is a problem. The First Amendment gets in the way. This is not the only person saying this. A Supreme Court Justice, was it Ketanji Brown Jackson or whatever? She said that the First Amendment really hamstrings the government's ability to do their job. Tim Walz said that there are no First Amendment protections for free speech and misinformation. Now, Kerry says disinformation here, but misinformation is also on target. And what you know what misinformation means? It means you are ill-informed. It means that you've just been told the wrong thing and you need to hear the right thing. Well, who do you think is going to be the one that's going to tell you the right thing? This ass clown here and his friends. Like, do y'all understand how dangerously close we are to a hate speech law or a disinformation law that'll be vague and open-ended, and then that's it. Then the rest of the world gets what they want. Because we are the only country in the freaking world that has protected free speech. And we don't have hate speech laws. All the other great all the great democracies of the world have hate speech laws. You don't believe me? Why don't you go look at what happened in the UK fairly recently where they were locking people up for saying things on Facebook or on social media. And if you don't think that stuff isn't already, in the works here, you're kidding yourself. And that should be the biggest deal on earth to you. Now listen, what does that mean coming up to this election? I think, here, let me make myself bigger so you don't have to look at this freaking Sasquatch anymore. Let me see here. You can look at my beautiful face. So what does this mean to me, or to what should this mean? Is your alternative to electing Kamala Harris, who is best buddies with all these people, who is the choice of these people. Wow, I'm really shadowy. Is that any better? I look like I don't know. I look weird. So, Kamala Harris, who is, buddies with all these people, who was given a presidential nomination without receiving a single vote for it, because they ousted the sitting president of the United States, who is gone, by the way. Nobody knows where the hell he is. He is completely and utterly irrelevant. Did you know that Joe Biden is still the president right now? Okay, you can vote for her, or you can vote for Donald Trump, who is the target of all those people, literally and figuratively. So, what happens if Trump wins this election? Do you think they'll let him be president? I don't know. But I can assure you one thing, that he will only be president for 4 years, contrary to what the dipshits in mainstream media tell you about how he's how he's just going to be dictator for life, because they want you to be terrified and go, oh, we need you to protect us from big scary man, because we're too stupid to see for ourselves what the truth is. But if he gets elected and he's president for 4 years, then what? Do you think this goes away? Do you think this just stops? Is he just gonna? If Trump gets elected, do you think that the people that are gunning to shut down your ability to express yourself freely and talk about and call your government out, who's wrong about everything, by the way, literally everything they told, everything that they were trying to crush people for speaking for countering, they were wrong about. No, they were not wrong about. They were lying to you about. Okay? So you have that situation. So if he gets elected and it's done, then what? Well, then they'll just put more people in power that are going to continue to try to push this agenda. So it's like, if you really, 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 really want to make sure that people like that don't have the ability to just stomp on you and curb your free speech and basically moderate social media for you, then you need to continue to put forth people that are willing to push back. I'm not talking about 2 or 3 people in Congress, maybe a senator here and there. Like, that's not enough. Because the majority of people in Congress, they don't give a crap about you, and they don't care. They're in the club. Why would they care about your free speech getting taken away? They're better than you. They're like in the elite level of society. They're the aristocracy. You are a worthless pissant to them. You are a taxpayer. You are a vessel for votes. You are there to keep the money machine rolling in, but even when we can't afford it, who cares? We'll just print more. And you're there to get votes. So what we do is we put 2 candidates in front of you, both of which are secretly on our side, and then we do that, and then you get votes, and then you say, listen, this is a democracy. Isn't it great? You get to choose. You get to choose. No, like, we need to get real people in primaries all over the place and get these people in place to, excuse me, the cough drop was getting stuck. Get people in place that are going to continue to push back. Because we're at a dangerous crossroads here. There are some few things I've written down about this. Trying to think. I always carry notebooks with me everywhere I go, so I'm like, I always have one in my pocket. And every time I think of stuff, I jot it down. And this is stuff I was looking at when I was sick on whatever day it was, the 29th, so 4 days ago. I was on the couch, just hanging out with my wife on Twitter on my phone, and I saw this clip, and it just pissed me off so bad. So, let's see if I have anything in here, anything really insightful in here that I haven't said already. So, let's see here. So your rejection of mis and disinformation means that you will accept their bullcrap. Like, that's what's going to happen under in his perfect utopia. So Kerry doesn't like the fact that you are able to make your own decisions. And they're exhausted by people thinking for themselves. They're tired of you thinking wrong. Do you remember when those truckers in Canada were protesting and Justin Trudeau said, there are people going to protest that are think the wrong thoughts? Like, that's what these people want, man. They want to be able to tell you what the right thought is, and you better think it. And if you open your mouth and you say otherwise, like, you're in trouble. And it really, really makes you wonder, like, is this what the whole thing is with Trump? The whole target from, the constant attacks, the legal attacks, the impeachments, the lies, the media manipulation. Is this the thing? Because he represents a base of people who are what? They're America first. Okay? And they're anti-establishment. So you better bet your ass that the one target, the one group in their sights right now for as far as we need to stop this energy are his supporters. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican or what have you, God forbid you're either of them, honestly, because neither one of those parties care about you. But you need to just step aside from your party, the party dogma, and really understand what's at stake here. And like, we need to stop worshiping government, man. And I'm sorry, but not just on the left. There are plenty of people on the right that are like far too dogmatic when it comes to Trump. You can't criticize the guy at all. You can't, say a negative thing about him whatsoever. He's never done anything wrong. There's always 1,000,001 excuses as to why he screwed up on A, B, and C, which he screwed up on a lot. Like, we don't need these people in government to be our parents. We need to have an energy in this country where we say, screw them. They can't tell us what to do. And the problem is, during, those fateful years fairly recently, people were way too compliant. People were way too willing to hand over their safety and their ability to live over to people in political power. Oh, it's still hot. So that video happened. That's a guy who was almost president of the United States once. He was Secretary of State. Why would a guy who's been in political power for that long think that way? Because that's how it used to be. He's hearkening back to the good old days, back when it was so nice back then, when I got to just govern and everything I said was right. The internet is the problem to these people. But the issue is you're never going to get those glory days back, whether you combat what you call misinformation or disinformation anyways. Because the damage is done. Like, do you think that if Trump loses the election, that the energy is just going to go away? These people that feel like they've been screwed over by the government again and again, that's just going to go away? It's not going to go away. And you think, and that's the problem with these people in government, they're so stupid sometimes, they think that that's all it's going to take. Trump will lose. We will combat the misinformation and disinformation. What we'll do is we'll take Twitter away from Elon, and we'll ramp up the censorship, and then everything will be great again. It's like, no, that's not going to happen. And you're kidding yourself. You are completely and utterly delusional. And these people lie and lie and lie and lie and lie. So I'm sure, like you, just like myself, the president or the vice presidential debate was the other night. Vice presidential debates are of little to no consequence, because who really cares all that much? And sitting back objectively, I think that it's clear to say that subjectively, I screwed this up. Objectively, yes, I'm objective. My feelings are not in here just based off what I witnessed, with no affinity for either candidate. Okay. Vance seemed like the clear winner for a lot of reasons, because first of all, that guy is a ninja when it comes to speaking to the press and doing things like that. He is so calm and cool and collected. I don't really know much about the guy. Don't really care to know that much about the guy. He's in government to me, so whatever. But it looked like he was the clear-cut winner. Now, what was fascinating about this debate, though, both sides had some pretty terrible takes. Like, most of the things that they talked about were terrible. I don't want government taking care of my children. I don't want government. I just don't want government involved in anything. So I don't care about tariffs. I don't care about taxing the rich. I don't care about any of that. Yep, I said it. I don't care. Taxing the rich is a stupid premise because that's not the problem. So go do some research. But what I care about is that for the first time this presidential cycle, it felt like people were actually talking about policy. That was the most civil debate I've seen in a very long time. And it's like, man, our presidential candidates suck. Like, I'm sorry, but however you feel about either of them, it's like, this is the best we could come up with. And then you watch that and it was almost like, oh, this is kind of pleasant to watch. I only watched it because I'm obsessed with politics and news and history and all, you know, it's my thing. I'm a historian, by the way, so, and I do military, political, and economic history, so this is like an area I obsess about this type of stuff. So I watched it, but it didn't really sway me one way or the other. But it was what took me back was, wow, they're actually like agreeing on things. And they're not just attacking each other ad hominem. You know, Walz did the attack Trump a whole lot, and Vance would do the thing where he put all like Kamala Harris administration. I mean, that was a smart move because it's like they've tried so hard to disconnect her from Biden's failures. So I think that was the whole idea was like, hey, we'll make it so we'll say it so many times people can't get away from it. Of course, the moderators tried to jump in, fact check Vance. He called them out, which was cool. And then now he's a sexist piece of crap because he did that, according to media. But it's like, no matter what you do, you're not going to get a good answer from the media as to who won that thing, because it's pretty clear cut. And so here's this guy Joe Scarborough talking about what happened after the debate. Let's see.
It's not going to be negative at the end of the day. But it's not going to be negative because, first of all, vice presidential debates don't matter. But secondly, let's show the poll again. And I want to go back to Donnie for a second. Donnie, you know, it's almost like Dean Smith was coaching him. The legendary North Carolina basketball coach said, you know, we're going to go into the four corners here, boys. We're gonna just pass the ball around. You're gonna have a chance to, like, you know, dunk the ball and shatter the backboard. No, just do a layup, go down, and you know, and set up on defense. You look again. We're being critical. We think Tim Walz should have executed the case far more aggressively, and yet you look at those numbers. And I challenge anybody that's watching, give me over the past 5 years a politician on the national stage that has a favorability rating as high as Tim Walz is right here. 59% after the debate favorable,
that's real.
22% unfavorable. J.D. Vance, 41-44. He's upside down, but even he went up here. It seems to me if the goal is to make Tim Walz your neighbor, your Midwest neighbor, a nice guy, actually, despite all the things we're saying this morning, it's mission accomplished, and Tim Walz got exactly what he needed out of this, and so did Kamala Harris. Like,
really? Is there any tiny molecule of truth to any of that? These polls are so biased and stupid. I don't know. I have so many people I see freaking out about polls, like, oh, Trump's down in the polls. And it's like, who cares? This polling is stupid. And it's just dumb. It's like, and now it's also blatantly biased in one direction. Why does it matter? But if that's true, makes no sense to me. There was really nothing in that debate that would be like, wow, I favor Tim Walz so much more now because of it. And what was alarming to me was he got called out on the misinformation thing. And he didn't deny it. He ended up doubling down on it. 1 second. I gotta let a cat into my office, otherwise he'll cry at the door forever. All right, see, he's in the office. He's happy now, right? Here. Sorry about my ugly grill in the background. So yeah, what was like concerning was, so earlier Tim Walz had said there are no protections for hate speech and misinformation in the Constitution, and Vance called him out in this debate, which I appreciated, because to me that's the most important thing. And this is the exchange.
But you guys attack us for not believing in democracy. The most sacred right under the United States democracy is the First Amendment. You yourself have said there's no First Amendment right to misinformation. Kamala Harris wants to use the power of government.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation.
And big tech to silence people from speaking their minds. That is a threat to democracy that will long outlive this present political moment. I would like Democrats and Republicans to both reject censorship. Let's persuade one another. Let's argue about ideas, and then let's come together afterwards.
You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That's the test. That's the Supreme Court test.
Tim, fire in a crowded theater. You guys wanted to kick people off of Facebook for saying that toddlers shouldn't wear masks.
Senator, the governor does have...
Yes. JD Vance, thank you for actually saying something there. Man, I don't, if my audio is clipping, I'm sorry, I don't know what the deal is. I have a limiter set on this. It should not clip at all, but I think it's this microphone. This may not be very good. There are just certain sounds that make it clip, and it's annoying. But when Tim Walz was called on it, what did he do? He doubled down on it. He didn't deny it. He didn't say, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Like, people like that guy are terrifying. He was a COVID lockdown governor. One of the strictest governors during that tenure, during that era. And he was the guy pushing lockdowns. One second, I'm going to try to fix my microphone. I don't know if that made a difference or not, but I fixed it. So it should have a limiter on there again. It looks like it was toggled off. Don't know why. I'm sorry about that. So he doubled down on it. And this is a guy who was very, very harsh when it came to the COVID stuff. I mean, he was all about lockdowns, all about, heavy-handed methods for dealing with dissension. And once again, you have to ask yourself, if these people could have it their way entirely. Sorry if the cough drop is annoying. Try to get it out of here. I know it's like an annoying thing. I have a thing about like mouth noises and stuff in podcasts, and I get it. Hi. So he doubled down on it. And it's like, yeah, that should be concerning to you. That should be the thing that, drives you to really see what the motives are here. This is Wit, and he's always in here. Look, he looks really dark right now. He's not normally this dark. Can we get a good picture? He's purring. Oh, he's so happy. He's so happy. He may go purring in the microphone. So, yeah, I'm a crazy cat lady. Sorry. It's me. Ooh, there you go, bud. Here. He always likes to be in here with me whenever I do this. It's his thing. So, you have this moment where Vance says the most important thing in our democracy is free speech. And Walz just, well, we don't have right to hate speech and threats, and it's like, if it's against the law, then if there are legal ramifications for stuff you did because it causes, if you commit a crime or whatever with it, like that's your problem. But you can't sit there and say that we need to have laws for misinformation and hate speech when you have people like John Kerry saying that we need a way to combat misinformation to make it so we can have a consensus. The consensus being what we think is the truth. And I really, really, really think people need to take this seriously and understand, like, these people are part of a larger movement in the world to basically have a large single governance. And if our federal government only gets larger as our population grows. And as our population grows and our government gets larger, it's like they become less and less capable of doing their job. But that doesn't stop them. They just fill it with more bureaucrats. They spend more money. And like that's the push. And the people running the show, which I'm sure we don't know who that is, they would love nothing more than to be able to squash your ability to express yourself, combat what they call misinformation, or combat their misinformation. And it's scary, especially if you have kids. You want to raise them in this country that forever. When I was growing up, I'm a kid, I was born in the 80s, so a kid of the 90s, early 2000s. It was like our history was almost mythologized to this point where like our ability, our First Amendment rights, it was the most sacred thing. And somehow we flipped that now to think that democracy is the most sacred thing. And it's all about democracy, democracy, democracy. But democracy is not the most sacred thing as being an American. Like your natural God-given rights are the most important thing. Right? And there will always be people out there that are going to try to stretch it to curb your rights. And there will be people that get away with it. But I think if we accept it overall as a larger movement in the United States, we're screwed. And the world is a-coming. They're knocking. If you get a chance, Paulo Figueiredo is his name. And I'll put it in the description of this video. He did an interview yesterday. It was him and a guy named Alan DiPaolo or something. I don't know. I'll put the link in. These guys, they're Brazilian. And they're talking about how things have changed in Brazil so much. This guy was a journalist, one of the people in this interview, and his house was raided by, feds, basically, because he was distributing fake news. And X is being shut down in Brazil because of hate speech or whatever, or for freedom or for speech violations, basically for you're not allowed to contest election results there at all. It's a crime, and a lot of this is under this tutelage of a Supreme Court justice over there, a corrupt and tyrannical Supreme Court justice. And if you get an opportunity, you should watch it. It's fascinating, but it's also terrifying because it's like, man, we're it. We're the bastion here in the United States. And it's, government, it's the ultimate club, meaning that they can keep you out if they want to. They can let in who they want. Now imagine they take away your ability to speak freely, but you want to get people in your camp into political office, or you want, or whatever, you want them just being nominated even. And things happen that make it so that can't happen. Let's just say that powers that be combat that. What are you going to do? You're going to turn to who? Right now, the ability to express yourself freely is a problem. And what the issue is with with what Kerry said, the old referees were used to ever gone. Well, yeah, it's because social media means I can talk to whoever I want from here. I can reach, whoever I want online. That was not a thing before. And now with this widespread ability to reach people, that's the biggest threat, because they can't just do whatever they want anymore. If they're wrong about something, you can call them. You can see millions of people can see that they've been called out on being wrong in an instant. So of course that's a threat. But we are really, really teetering on the edge of something terrible. And when it comes to the election, I don't really care about the election so much as I care about the future, the long-term future. You know, do I think that we're going to be some like socialist country, or communist country or whatever, like they say with Kamala Harris? No. But I think that if they could have their way, and they could basically shut down speech they don't like I'm sure at some point in time, this video, they would do it. So, all right, I ended up hanging on for a lot longer than I thought I'd be able to, but I'm wearing thin here. So, my stupid microphone keeps clipping. Sorry. I will be back with you hopefully tomorrow, depending on how I feel. I'm still kind of hanging in there as far as being sick, but I'm teetering on the edge of being better. And I'm sure this video will make me want to take a nap after I pick kids up. But, all right. Well, if you could, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, share it, and follow me on X. I'll put the link in the description of the video, along with the link to that interview that I told you about to watch. And, yeah, just keep an eye out for any more crazy stories, and comment and tell me what's going on in your life. All right, thank you. Have a great afternoon.